Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unit 12, which is our unit on professional and personal development. I think this comes at a good time after we spent some time last unit talking about job searching, and we will actually continue to do the same this week on the discussion board. We'll talk a little bit about these topics, and then as part of your homework assignment this week, it'll be a bit of a continuation from last week where you really are going to have an opportunity to explore the job openings that are out there and really think about what is potentially a good match for you. And as we do that, we will also continue to bring in this really important topic, which is both the professional development, but also your personal development in the workplace. I think these are themes that you can take with you at every step of your paralegal career. So as I've done with most other units, I'm not just going to repeat everything that's in the book. I'm just going to pick out a couple of important principles that I think are worth talking about with you guys, both me here on the video and on the discussion board. So a little bit about what we mean by both professional and personal development. So a little bit of this unit, we'll start talking about what it means like to look the part of a paralegal. And yes, I mean that, what do we wear in the law office? I know this seems like a really unusual topic, seeing as how we're still in the pandemic and there are many people still working from home and perhaps wearing pajamas more than we should, but a lot of us are still coming into work. I know some of you in class are working in office environments, and certainly when the pandemic is over, we will continue to spend more time in the physical law office. That's not going away, despite all of our discussions about working virtually. We'll also talk about office culture and acting the part in the office. The last part of the PowerPoint here that I'll talk about is your own professional development, how you take care of yourself and how you build that path to get the career that you want. It doesn't happen overnight. You guys already know that because you've worked your way through this program. But I promise you that even if that first job out of paralegal school is not exactly what you want because maybe it wasn't the perfect job was not available, or maybe you started your first job thinking this is it, this was everything I ever wanted, and it turns out not to be that way. That's okay. That's part of any career path in any life. And I just want to spend a little time at the end of the PowerPoint talking about that. Okay, let's get through this one first. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, I put an image here of the movie Legally Blonde, one of my favorite law movies of all time. Just the first one, Legally Blonde. I highly recommend if you haven't seen it yet. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what to wear in the law office. So as we know, because we've used images of law offices all semester, I think a lot of default thinking is that the law firm is a formal environment and court is a formal environment. And if that's where your head goes, you are right. Even when much of the rest of the business world, and we see this with the explosion of the tech industry in the 90s and in the 2000s, became a much more casually dressed work environment. The law office was, and to a large extent still is, conservative, and I use that word to describe the way we dress. Whereas in the tech industry, you can wear shorts and flip-flops to work. You can dress like you just went out to the grocery store or maybe even the beach. Don't really think of the law firm in that environment. When I graduated law school, which was actually in 2000, we were just seeing a shift away from the idea that lawyers, male and female, wore suits in the office every day. And I didn't find a lot of great clip art with a suit, but this was pretty much what was expected from men and women in conservative colors, the navies, the blacks, the browns, not a lot of variation of color. And if you watch lawyers on TV, like in Law and Order or all the way through movies, again, not Legally Blonde, that's why I threw that in there as kind of a joke because she didn't dress as conservatively. You can see that this is how lawyers dress when they go to court. When the tech industry exploded, there definitely was a movement, even in the law firm, to soften the need to wear a suit every day in the law office. And a lot of law firms went to what was called, and is still called, business casual. It is a terrible term. What does it mean? Some people love business casual because it means I don't have to wear a suit every day. Others really don't love business casual because it's not really clear what that means. So you may ask your law firm or law office if they have a dress code. That might help get you started. Some of them may even have printed in it. But really, what we mean for business casual would still be pants, not shorts. Obviously, women or those who identify as women, we certainly wear dresses or skirts as appropriate. I should have found an image of Ally McBeal, which was a very fun lawyer show, I think in the late 90s, mid 90s, and she had very, very mini skirts. I would not recommend a mini skirt, but something just above the knee is fine. And certainly long skirts are fine too. So it's not like you have to wear, you can choose to do that. But women, those who identify as women, obviously we can wear pants in the workplace, but think of more like slacks. Usually business casual does not mean jeans. So again, that would be a question to ask your law office when it comes up in terms of dress code. Are you allowed to wear jeans? Some will let you wear jeans if they are the darker wash, nothing with holes or ripped. It's not, I hate to say it, law firms are not known for fashion, for pushing the envelope, for a good place to try out your new look. Usually more conservative than that. That's just the environment that we're in. Generally shirts with sleeves, although again, some shirts made for women might be sleeveless, but again, a more tailored look, not the tank top that you would wear to the gym or wear to the beach. Jackets, something that you can cover yourself up to appear more conservative. Maybe it seems old fashioned, maybe not. Some people really like it. It just seems really easy. Put on a suit and go to work. We used to have a rule in the law firms that I used to work in were business casual, but all attorneys would have to keep a suit in their offices, just in case you had to very last minute go to court or a client dropped in for a meeting that you were not expecting. So although I could wear business casual, my favorite business casual was slacks and a sweater or slacks and a button-down shirt. That's pretty much 90% of what I wore. I always had a suit behind my door just in case I needed it, which I think was maybe twice. If I knew I was going to court, I wore a suit to work that day. So I had that available to me. Shoes, again, generally not sneakers, tennis shoes, workout wear. Sandals, in terms of open toe in the summer, something, again, more conservative, usually not flip-flops. Basically, don't look like you just came from the beach. It's always better to err on the side of being dressed more conservatively than less. Let someone come and tell you, you look really professional today, but we have a casual dress policy if you wanted to wear something more casual. Men, often doesn't have to be a button-down shirt, could be a collared shirt, short sleeves, just something that looks more tailored. I did write in here having that one good interview suit. I would recommend that as you begin your job search, if you don't have one already, it is a good idea to purchase one suit, conservative color, black, navy, gray, maybe even brown, and have that suit available for interviewing. You do not need multiple suits. Even if you get called back for a second interview and you're thinking, I already wore this suit, don't worry about that. Just switch out the undershirt or switch out the tie if you have one, just so it doesn't look the same. No one's going to remember, unless it's a super unusual suit, that you wore the same one. But it's a good idea to have that one suit that you use for interviewing and is also available in case you are invited to visit a client or accompany an attorney in court and you want to be professionally addressed. Just one suit. I did include a little tag here about social events. Obviously, we haven't really had any of those during the pandemic, but think about a lot of law firms have holiday parties or summer get-togethers, and you always want to make sure that you are dressed more conservatively. Not wearing the bathing suit to the holiday party or the summer party, the summer get-together, if there is something like that. If your law firm hosts a family barbecue in the summer and you wear shorts that are at appropriate length or a skirt or summer slacks. Always better to err on that side. Your book also has some information about how to act at social events. that involve your supervising attorneys and your clients. Take a look at those as well. Again, not that we're going to many of those now, but I imagine that we will again in the near future. Okay, what about acting the part? This really is going to be a repeat of some information we've already talked about. But when we enter the law office, we begin our day, and again, even if you're virtual, this is true, we really have to put on that professional hat and focus on our workday. We have talked a lot this semester about record keeping, about docket management, about calendaring, and you can see the theme with all of those is the idea of staying organized in your day. I think it's a really good idea when you get settled in your new job to find your own daily routine so that you maximize getting your work done during the day, during the hours that you're committed to being at work. Something not really, I think, addressed well in your book is this idea that we are all accessible 24 hours a day now. We have Wi-Fi and computers at home, we have cell phones, and so sometimes there's a tendency to feel like we're not off the clock, that we're just always available. And that leads to something I wanted to talk about in another slide called finding that work-life balance. But I think it starts here with making yourself a daily routine, prioritizing the tasks that you need to do so that you can be productive during your work hours. I love my work colleagues at Middlesex, and during the pandemic, I really miss not seeing them. I love, chatting over lunch or while we meet at the Keurig coffee machine. But when we think about those things, all that time that we're spending socializing during the day, we're not getting our work done. And that's okay. We all need our breaks. It's important to have colleagues that we connect with and that we enjoy seeing. But there are times during the day where we have to shut that out. We have to say, I have a deadline, I have work I need to do, I need to prioritize getting my work done. So having that system in place where maybe you spend the first 10 minutes of your day catching up with your colleagues, saying hello, getting your coffee, putting your lunch away, and then sitting down to focus on the list of things that you need to do. And I wrote that word prioritize. Prioritize what needs to get that done that day, and think about how much time that will take you to do it. And I also wrote on here two other important corollaries. Number one is be realistic. When you think about a task that you have to undertake and you think, oh, that'll take me 5 minutes. Do we really mean 5 minutes? Or when we say 5 minutes, are we thinking it won't take me that long, but realistically, that's about a half an hour of my day? Versus another project where you think, oh my goodness, this is a big one. This one's going to take me a long time. But does a long time mean 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours? Try to be realistic about what you can accomplish in your given day. Again, knowing that you will take a lunch break and you will take a break to take maybe a couple of personal phone calls or talk to your colleagues. That's that balance of prioritizing what you need to do during the day, but also being realistic about how long each of those tasks will take you and realistic about what else is happening during the day that just might come up. And then the last piece to that is communication. It is really important to keep that communication open with your attorney. So if your attorney thinks that you're accomplishing a certain task, maybe a letter to the client that day, and you think in your head, that should not take me more than an hour to draft a certain letter to a client. Great. So the attorney thinks, I gave that to the paralegal, that letter is going to go out during the day. We never know. Emergencies come up, something happens. It could be an emergency with another client, could be an emergency with your own family member, a child gets sick at school and you have to leave and go take that child, pick them up. Communicate with your attorney if you're ever not going to meet a deadline, need more time for something, just to apprise them about what's happening. I think that goes a long way with setting expectations for both yourself and your attorney about what is actually getting done that day. I also put a little note on here about office gossip. Won't spend too much time on that. I can tell from the discussion board you all are very professional and respectful, but it's discussed in your book, and it's certainly worth mentioning, is not to engage in office gossip. If you're on social media with your colleagues, be very careful about what you post and comment on. I do have some more to talk about. I have a couple more slides, but I'm at 15 minutes, so I'll stop here and see you on the second video.